Today we'll continue from where we left off yesterday's class. So yesterday we saw that being attacked by Gandharvas on one side, Yavanas on other side, and also Jara who entered the palace. The palace is getting destroyed. Then Baya came, which produced a lot of fear, and more than that, Prajvara came and lit on fire the entire city. So everyone is not able to tolerate. The children became indifferent, wife became indifferent, and the city is damaged. And the guard, the 500 snake, is unable to tolerate. He is trying to escape, like the snake escapes from the burning tree. But the Yavanas attacking snake. So then, when it is forced upon Puranjana to leave the city, he was remembering his queen. His queen was giving him so much happiness all these days. Queen means the city, the body, the human body. Thinking about it, and also the different bodily limbs and different sense objects. He was considering that how will they be maintained in my absence, what will happen to them, etc, etc. What will happen to my wife and what will happen to my sons and daughters, children who are so much affectionate to me. So as he was thinking like that, at that time the determined Yavana king called Fear approached to take the king, who was lamenting in this way, though it was not befitting, along with his wretched intelligence. So previously, the Evaneshwara was fear personified, and the Yavanas were physical and mental diseases. And now on, the Yavana king, the Yavaneshwara will be Mrityu, and the Yavanas will be Yamadutas. They are also called with the same names. Here, the determined Yavana king means Mrityu Devata. The Yavana king, the Yavaneshwara, Bhayanama Krita Dhi. He is the fear personified means basically the death personified. The Yavaneshwara is the death personified. The Yavanas will be called hereafter as Yamadutas. So he came forward to take the king along with him. Though Puranjana was leading a dharmic life, but at the time of death, he has given up dharmic intelligence. He has given up the wife who is dharmic. He has taken the wife of illusion, wife of lamentation, and he is forced to take to Yamalok. So that will be presented in the upcoming future verses talks about his journey to Yamaloka. Then what happened to him having gone to Yamaloka afterwards? So that is not only Puranjana journey, that is all of our journey also. Pashuvat Yavaner Esha Niyamana Swakam Kshayam Anvadravan Anupata Sochanto Brushamatura.
When the Yavanas were taking King Puranjana away to their place, binding him like an animal, the king's followers became greatly aggrieved. While they lamented, they were forced to go along with him.
So how he was leaving the city of nine gates? Like an animal, he was led by the Yavanas. Here Yavanas are Yamadutas to their abode, to Yamalok. Huh? Right. Next slide you will see. His routine followed, lamenting and greatly distressed. Like an animal. Have you ever seen a sight of pulling a goat to the slaughterhouse? They will not go, but they drag the goat. Here he does not want to go. He will be dragged. That will be condition of everyone. No one wants to leave the body, leave the home, leave the family members and all. But Yamadutas drag that person. That's why Yamadutas in pictures are shown very stout and strong bodied personalities. They need to drag the person against his will. It is said, we discussed in third canto. Some people who are kind of detached, in a Muhurta time, they'll go to Yamaloka. Dvabhyam Tribir Muhurter. In 2 to 3 Muhurtas, they'll go to Yamaloka immediately. Who are done with all the activities, say, okay, enough is enough, I'm going, jo karna hai kar lo, main ja raha hu. That kind of people will take only 2 to 3 Muhurtas to go to Yamaloka. But others who don't want to go, some will take 10 days, some will take 15 days, some will take 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, even some will take 1 year to go to Yamaloka. They don't want to go, they'll be dragged. क्यों ऐसा मतलब? एक साल तक. हाँ, एक साल तक बहुत दूर है. 99,000 योजनास.
Prabhuji, like in third canto, we had discussed now that वो कितना time में that much distance to Yamapuri the soul has to pass. Like means if, even all that description was there, now how the path is and all those things. It will be very hot and Yamadutas will be with the hunter after you, and within that much time you will have to pass. One will have to pass that much distance, like that. The description was there, and I think in Kapil Dev's teachings.
Yes, yes.
So still, like means for every soul, distance time required for the traveling of that distance will be different.
Yes, yes. It is according to their willingness to go there.
Okay.
Someone who does not want to go there will be dragged very slow. Somebody who is ready to go quickly in one Muhurta. No issue.
That means those who are unwilling to go there, they will have to be on such difficult path for a longer period of time. So even before reaching the Yamaloka, they will suffer more.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And Prabhuji, if you don't mind, please can you repeat, like you mentioned in the beginning that Yavana, till before this sloka, we had have one concept, and now it is another. And for the Yamaraj also, something you mentioned.
Not Yamaraj, not Yamaraj. I said Mrityu Devata. In the past, also now also Yavaneshwara, the king of the Yavanas is Yavaneshwara. Previously was called as Baya, fear personified. Okay. Now onwards we should take him as Mrityu personified, Mrityu Devata.
Okay.
And the Yavanas were the physical and mental diseases. And now on the Yavanas will be Yamadutas.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
He was led away like an animal by the Yamadutas. His life heir and other followers ran after him. Anupata. The subtle body, pranas, they also followed after him. Tam anukramantam prano, anukramanti pranam, anukramantam sarve prana, anukramanti. Tam anukramantam prano anukramanti, pranam anukramantam sarve prana anukramanti. The life air follows the jiva when it leaves the body, and the other life airs follow the main life air. When soul leaves, the breathing goes along with the soul. Along with the breathing, there comes 10 pranas. So like that. So this is what happens when a person leaves the body. Prabhupada writes, when Yamaraja and his assistants, like a living assistants, take a living entity away to the place of judgment, the life air, and desires being followed by the living entity also go with him. This is confirmed in the Vedas. When the living entity is taken away by or arrested by the Yamadutas, the life air also goes with him. And when the life air gone, all the senses also go along with it. When the living entity and the life air are gone, the lump of matter produced of the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, ether, is rejected and left behind. Then the living entity goes to the place of judgment, and Yamaraja decides what kind of body is given next. This process is unknown to modern scientists. Every living entity is responsible for his activities in this life, and after death he is taken to the court of Yamaraj, where it is decided what kind of body he will get the next. Although the gross material body is left, the living entity and his desires as well as the resultant reactions of his past activities go on. It is Yamaraja who decides what kind of body one gets next according to one's past activities.
Devta and Yamraj are two different personalities or the
No, two different. Yamaraja does not come personally. He sends Muthu Devata. Both are different.
Prabhuji, Mrityu Devata is subordinate to Yamaraj. Like, I mean, he does the service to Yamaraj.
See, Yamadutas are like the soldiers. Mrityu Devata is the commander in chief, Senapati.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
Yamaraj is like the king.
Okay. Mrityu Devata is like soldiers. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Purim vihayo pagata uparuddho bhujangama yada tamevānupuri vishirna prakritim gata.
The serpent, who had already been arrested by the soldiers of Yavana Raja and was out of the city, began to follow his master along with the others. As soon as they all left the city, it was immediately dismantled and smashed to dust.
When the snake, captured by the Yavanas, left the city was broken down and returned to the five elements. In the previous said that his routine followed lamenting and greater distress after the Puranjana. The first person to follow after Puranjana is the breathing, the five-hooded snake. And following him only will come the 10 pranas. Following the 10 pranas will come the subtle body made up of 14 elements. 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, and 4 antakarnas. So like that, one after the other, they are following. So as soon as the prana leaves, I mean the breathing leaves, the 10 pranas will accompany him and the 14 subtle elements also accompany him. As soon as they come out, the entire city is collapsed. That means, that's what we discussed today, that Shiva Jwara, Vishnu Jwara, as soon as Shiva Jwara attacked, the body is burning like anything. They cannot tolerate, they cannot stay in that. They are trying to escape. Then suddenly, Vishnu Jwara attacked. They could not stay anymore. It is like the freezing cold. They immediately they came out, then the entire city fell down. So that is understanding. The snake captured by the Yavanas, the city returned to the elements. When the city fell down, eventually the final rites will be done, and all the five elements of the body, human body, will merge back into the five universal elements. After the two way we do generally, either we burn or we bury. When we burn, the water, the fire element will mix with fire. The water element is evaporated and goes to clouds, and the remaining ashes will merge into the earth eventually. And when we bury also, the fire element, earth element, water element, everything is like distributed. The body will merge into the earth only eventually. The bones and all everything will become part of the earth. So that's how the five elements will go back to their sources, original sources. So this is what happened to the city of nine gates, the human body, after the soul leaves the human body. See, this is dragging. That Puranjana is dragged by the Yavanas, but Puranjana is looking backward. My city, my wife, my children, it's like that. And the five-hooded snake is coming, following the five-hooded snake, all the followers. These are all followers. See, all the way here. So I thought like this, like this, like this. These followers are like different desires, which are not yet fulfilled. The breathing with 10 pranas, here 5 pranas we can say, then 14 subtle elements, then unlimited desires, which are yet to be fulfilled. They are all following after him. This is what it happens. And on the way, you see all these different animals. What is going to happen, that will be discussed in the next verses. So these are Yamadutas, 1, 2, 3. In Ajamila pastime also, 3 Yamadutas will come and 4 Vishnudutas will come. Because he chanted Narayana, Narayana, 4 Vishnudutas will come. And one performs sinful activities or various activities in 3 modes, 3 Yamadutas will come to take the Jiva to the Yamaloka. And he is Yavaneshwara, Murtyu Devata. This is Murtyu Pasha. Murtyu Pasha. Just say, I mean, of course, here thread is there. This is also kind of Murtyu Pasha. The person does not want to come out. They will be dragged, forced to leave the city of 9 gates. Oh, पता नहीं, ये तो जरा है ना? This is what happens. विकृष्यमाणा प्रशभं यवनेना बलीयसा नाविन्दतमसाविष्टा सकायं सुहृदं पुरा.
When King Puranjana was being dragged with great force by the powerful Yavana, out of his gross ignorance, he still could not remember his friends and well-wishers and the super soul.
In the previous Prabhupada actually talks about why, what is the reason that person is dragged? The reason is we develop so much attachment to things and people of this world because we developed possessiveness toward them. Aham mameti. Because of which it is very difficult to be separated from them. That's why one is dragged at the time of death by the Yamadutas. Prabhupada quotes a verse from 10th canto. Yasyatma buddhi kunape trudatuke. Atma buddhi. One thinks oneself as a person made up of 3 dhatus. Kapavata pitta. Swadi kalatradishu bhauma yujjadi. And he also considers one's own family members as one's eternal companions. And Bhauma Ijjadi, the place one is born, one considers the place meant for worship. Yattirtha Buddhi Sallena Karihichit, and considers a pilgrimage place simply meant to take bath. Yattirtha Buddhi Sallena Karihichit. Holy place means go there and take bath and come back. That's all. Janeshu Abhigneshu Saeva Gokara. Such kind of person should be considered as an ass or cow, less intelligent. Human civilization divide of Krishna consciousness is simply a civilization of lower animals. It's like that. So such kind of person will be dragged to Yamaloka, who has that such kind of conception. So now, what is happening on the path? As he was being dragged forcefully by the strong Yavanas, since he was covered by ignorance, he did not recognize the Supreme Lord, who is his friend and his well-wisher from previous time. Even though at this time he was going through intense pain, being dragged by the Yamadutas, he did not remember his Avijñata Saka, his ever well-wisher. Ajamila at least chanted Narayana. That's why he was saved from going to Yamaloka. And Puranjana not even chanting that. If Puranjana would have chanted Narayana, he would have not gone to Yamaloka. Because he has not chanted, he has not remembered the Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. He will be taken to hell. This is the condition for every one of us. If we don't remember the Supreme Lord, our Avijñata Saka, our eternal ever well-wisher, at the time of death, when Yamadutas are taking us, we will have to go to Yamaloka. Otherwise, one will not go to Yamaloka. We can only remember at the time of death the Supreme Lord, his name, form, qualities, etc. If we remember him throughout the life. Tada Sadbhava Bhavita. In that way. So Prabhupada talks about that Supreme Lord, quoting various verses from Bhagavad Gita. Who is that Avijñāt Saka, whom one should remember? Those details are mentioned. By ignorance, he did not know the Supreme Lord, who was his friend previously. His entire life is dedicated to practice Dharmartha Kama, and even if forgot the Dharmartha at the time of death, then what to speak of forget the Supreme Lord? He already forgot Supreme Lord. At least he was doing Dharma. Even that also he forgot at the time of death. He was only worried about the body, the city which is getting destroyed. So as a result of this, he was completely covered by ignorance. As a result, the Yamadutas are taking him to, not taking, dragging him to Yamaloka. And now comes the next one. On the way, what's happening? Tam yajna pashavonena sanyaptaye dayaluna kuta kutarais chichidu kruddha smaranto mevam asyatat.
That most unkind king, Puranjana, had killed many animals in various sacrifices. Now, taking advantage of this opportunity, all these animals began to pierce him with their horns. It was as though he was being cut to pieces by axes.
The sacrificial animals, Yajna Pashava, that he had killed, remembering his sins, angrily chopped him with axes without mercy. See, all these animals, they come attack him when he was going to Yamalok. Some bite him, some cut off his limbs. So like that. They take revenge. This is to create fear in Puranjana, in Prachina Bari and Ardhamani telling. They are attacking him on the way only. Then what is to become punishment in the hell? So in that way.
Prabhuji, what was the smoke in that picture?
Sorry?
What is the smoke scene? So much of a smoke is seen in the picture. No, what is that?
But on the way, it may be like that only. No idea what they thought, but the pathway to hell may be filled with lot of smoke and all. It may not be clear path. Smoke also difficult to breathe.
Breathe. Yeah, yesterday we were discussing na, because of the smoke.
Or it may be the city which is still getting out of the city, na? The city is under burning.
Okay.
So it could be that.
Okay. Thank you.
The animals cut by his knife during material sacrifices began to cut him with axes. I mean, they might be having axes, even they have their claws and teeth. That itself is more than enough. So one gets the reaction for whatever action one does while living. Here. Then Prabhupada explains about meat, animal sacrifice, animal meat, etc. Those who are very enthusiastic about killing animals in the name of religion or for food must await similar punishment after death. The word mamsa indicates that those animals whom we kill will be given an opportunity to kill us. Although in actuality no living entity is killed, the pain of being pierced by the horns of animals will be experienced after death. Of course, na jayate mruyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavito vana bhuya. The soul has no death, no birth. But as long as the soul is living in the body, as long as the soul identifies the body, whatever pain the body goes through, it is the soul which experiences all the pain. Since he as the king has given a lot of pain to all the different animals, and all those animals are piercing him on the way. Huh? Yes. Now you tell me why the animals are Okay. Of course, performance of sacrifice is recommended. That doesn't mean that you have to do that only continuously. One has to do sacrifice to the extent is required. Not in the name of sacrifice, one should not continue. That is what happened at the beginning of Kali Yuga. People who are doing sacrifice after sacrifice. And in the name of sacrifice, in the name of saying prasad, they were eating meat. So Lord Buddha came and said, both are bad. Eating meat is bad. Performing unnecessary sacrifice is bad. There is no requirement to do so many. So, band karo. Vedas are telling, forget about the Vedas. Don't read the Vedas only. That was Buddha. Doing sacrifice is not bad, but doing too much or simply doing just for the sake of doing, niyamagraha, that is not required. We discussed now, King Prithu was performing 100 sacrifices. It was not required. Just to maintain the prosperity of the kingdom, 2-3 would have been enough. But with just doing, though it was not required sometimes. So, like that we can see. But in the case of Puranjana, he was simply doing it. The entire surface of the earth is filled with kusha grass mats. That's why he got Prachina Barihi. So it was becoming more and more. So when it is done, when it is not required, that is as good as sin only. So in that way. So of course, the purpose of Bhagavatam is not to encourage someone to perform karma more. The purpose of Bhagavatam is to raise from karma to jnana, jnana to yoga, yoga to moksha, not to stay there only. But Vedas tell a person to do entire life karma only. That is where problem is. Na anyat asthiti vadina. There is nothing more than that in the Vedas. So for the entire life, one is doing that only, karma only. But according to Bhagavatam, yeah, karma karne ka karo, 25 to 50. Jo bhi karna, 50 renounce. But is not renouncing. So renunciation need to be born in the heart of Puranjana. That's why its consequences are being mentioned in such a way. If you overdo, it will not be considered as a proper karma. It will be considered as sin only. So one need to go through the sinful reactions. So in that way, excessively doing is also not correct. वो बोलते हैं ना, they are fanatic about it. That's what happening with Puranjana. Not Puranjana also in the case of Prachinabhari. According to the storyline, Puranjana also done so many sacrifices. So those animals are piercing him. So Narada is telling the story in the name of Puranjana. That is actually about Prachinabhari only. If after death also the same thing will happen to you, my dear Prachinabhari. So like that is really.
If you become the devotee and you become then this will be known.
Devotees performs, but they do the needful. They don't do it continuously.
He's already done all these things.
But
afterwards, he takes up devotional service and he will not have to go through all this election.
not required because he will repent. Na? When one becomes devotee, one repents for what one had done till now. So that repentance will nullify all the sinful reactions. The strong repentance will burn away all the sinful reactions. If one repents heartfully. And Prabhupada writes at the end of the paragraph, same paragraph, just as in civilized human society, the law is a life for life. No living entity can encroach upon another living entity. As far as the Supreme Lord is concerned, everyone should be given freedom to live at the cost of the Supreme Father. And animal killing, either for religion or for food, is always condemned by the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 16:19, Lord Krishna says, Tanaham dishata kruran samsareshu naradama kshipami ajasram ashubhan asuriva eva yonishu. That kind of people are thrown away and they'll be born in the Asura Yoni. So like that Lord says. Then what happened? On the way, the animals were piercing him. Then he had gone to Narakaloka. In the Narakaloka, what happened? That is mentioned in the next verses. Anantapare tamasi magno nashtasmuti samam shashvatir anubhuyantim pramada sangadushita tameva manasagrahnan babuva pramodottama anantaram vidarbhasya raja simhasya veshmani.
Due to his contaminated association with woman, a living entity like King Puranjana externally suffers all the pangs of material existence and remains in the dark region of material life, bereft of all remembrance for many, many years. King Puranjana gave up his body while remembering his wife, and consequently, in his next life, he became a very beautiful and well situated woman. He took his next birth as the daughter of King Vidarbha in the very house of the king.
Having gone to Narakaloka, merged in unending darkness, devoid of memory, experiencing pain for infinite years. Anubhuya Artim Shashwati Sama. Shashwati Sama means for the rest of eternity in one sense. Because Puranjana had done unlimited okay, Prachinabari. From the normal society point of view, performing yajnas is also a pious, yajnas is a pious life. But from Nardamuni's point of view, it is a sin. Excessive killing of animals is a sin, where it is not required. So, in order to rise that renunciation, Nardamuni strongly speaking, experiencing pain for infinite years. So, my dear Prachinabari, you are thinking that you have done all pious activities? You are thinking that you can go to heaven and enjoy unlimitedly? You will be going to hell and going to suffer for unlimited number of years. Then who will not avoid doing those things? Purpose of Bhagavatam is to bring out the renunciation, not to encourage one to do pious activities. From Bhagavatam point of view, both pious and impious only. Shubha Shubhe Falerevam Mokshate Karma Bandhana. Shubha Fal, Ashubha Fal, both will be destroyed when one takes to bhakti. Otherwise, Shubha and Ashubha binds one in this material world. So in that way. Here, Puranjana as well as Prachinabari were thinking that these are pious activities a king is meant to do. They are doing so many sacrifices. But ultimately, that as a result, one has to suffer in the hell for Shashwati Sama, eternal years. For the rest of eternity, one has to suffer in this Naraka. That is the technique of Nardamuni. Merged in unending darkness, Ananta Pare Samati, divide of memory, Nashna Smriti, forgot everything, experiencing pain for infinite years, and contaminated by association with women. Pramada Sangha Dushita. Here, Pramada Sangha is association with the five sense objects. Here, the woman is not the Puranjani. The woman is the five sense objects combined together is called the Pramada. Because Puranjana was associating with the five sense objects, all the facilities in the city of 9 gates. As a result, and he was thinking about that at the time of death. That was the only thought he had at the time of death. He remembered in his mind that woman at the time of death. And eventually, finally, he was born. Anantaram Babuva in the house of a great king. the king of Vidarbha. Vidarbhasya Rajasimhasya Veshmani, as the best of women, Pramada Uttama. Puranjana, eventually, after spending so many years in tamasi, in ignorance, in pain, he got a birth as a human being, as the daughter of king of Vidarbha. What do we mean by that? The meaning is, he was merged in darkness, devoid of end, in suffering. So he was going through unlimited suffering, as if one does not even understand when it is going to end. Of course, it will end one day. It is going on for a long time. Since he worshipped through many sacrifices, it should be understood that he also enjoyed happiness in Swarga for many years. Because he done excessively, he killed animals excessively, he has to go through punishment. But he also done sacrifices which are recommended by the Vedic literature. He also went to Swarga, but that is not mentioned by Narada Muni, because renunciation need to be aroused. This is not mentioned not to create a sense of renunciation in Rajkumari. But it is only said that he has gone through misery for unlimited number of years, as if it is never ending. Because of remembering a woman, he became a woman. Because he was remembering the city made up of 5 sense objects, he got birth as the daughter of king of Vidarbha. Yeah, yam yam vapi swarambhavam tajiti ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya tada tat baba bhavita. So whatever we remember at the time of death, that is what we get next life. The spiritual perspective is this. It was said that because one faints from the extreme pain at the time of death, the loss of dharmic intelligence is temporary. The dharmic intelligence which was guiding one in the proper dharmic activities was fainted. It was not guiding him. As long as he was in hell, as long as he was passing through all lower species. Having gone to hell, the soul also passes through all the lower species. During those many years, the dharmic intelligence is white. Again, when it is right time for the dharmic intelligence to be activated, Puranjana gets the birth in the family of a dharmic king, Vidarbha. As the daughter of the king, he takes birth. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, if some means in between whatever animal births or lower species birth occurs, they are not considered as birth, because here it is mentioned that in his next life he became the woman, and that Vaidarbhi, king of Vidarbha's daughter. Right?
Not
So
next life. You see, and finally he was born as the daughter of the king of Vidarbha. Finally,
okay,
Anantaram, not immediately.
okay,
See, Ananta Pare Tamasi for a long time, Shashwati Sama for many years he was in Tamasi, in ignorance. That means he was suffering in the hell, he was passing through lower species
okay.
for a
Because
long time.
in translation it is mentioned that he took his next birth as the daughter of King Vidarbha. That is why I was
Not immediately. We have
confused.
to read between the lines also.
Okay, okay,
In between, he has gone to hell. He suffered in the hell for a long time. Then he has taken birth in the lower species. As many animals one has killed, that many times one has to take birth for the animals.
okay.
So it is there. As we read in the third canto also, na, after going to hell, after going through punishment, one passes through different species. Then finally, one becomes a human being. So it is not immediately.
Okay.
This Ananta Pare Tamasi and Shashitama, these two words indicate that he was in ignorance for a long time, long time. During that time, the dharmic intelligence is sleeping
Done.
quietly.
Okay.
And as soon as the dharmic intelligence is awakened, he gets birth in the family of a dharmic parents.
Okay.
That is Vaidarbha, king of Vidarbha.
But still, Prabhuji, when somebody's dharmic intelligence again becomes active after one gets the human body, still that is at the level of dharmartha kama only, na? Means it will this intelligence again, it unless it converts into spiritual intelligence, one will not be out of birth and death. Is that right?
Yes. Unless until one does not come in contact with the devotees, one continues to perform dharmartha kama only. That is what is indicated in the upcoming verses. That is true. In all over India, at least the traditional family people, they do everything. They do Shravana Mas, they do Adhika Mas, they do this, that is this, that, they do Satyanarayana Vrat, everything they do. And they also eat meat, they also drink liquor. They go to this temple, that temple. They say they are dharmic. हम तो हिंदू हैं, हम सब कुछ करते हैं. Unless until one comes in the association of devotee, they don't understand what one is supposed to do and how one is supposed to do. Otherwise, all traditional Indian families, they are quite dharmic. And for according to them, eating meat on certain occasions is also dharmic only.
Yeah.
So I mean that is how they were taught, they were trained. That's how they are leading life. So we can't say anything. Only when a devotee comes in contact with them by good fortune, then the journey, the direction of the journey will change. Otherwise, the direction of journey is going punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, jatre shayani pai murari. That is keep happening.
Actually, it's a very pitiful situation because while means for book distribution also when we go now we see that if outside any temple you stand, there is so much apathy in the people. Oh, we have this, we also do this, that. Why you're showing this? Okay. So to make them understand what you are doing is at one level, you require this. It's very difficult task.
Because such kind of people are very difficult to get convinced. The people who are in the lower mode sometimes appears to be easy, but people in the sattvic, I mean this dharmartha kama level, हम तो हैप्पी है, हम सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, हम तो धार्मिक लोग हैं, हमको और ज्यादा जरूरत नहीं. आप क्या बोलेंगे हमको, हमको सब कुछ पता है. We know Krishna, we know Rama, we know everything, we know Bhagavad Gita, हमारे घर में है. So these are the typical dialogues they say. Yes, what you said is actually correct. That is what we are going to see in the upcoming verses.
Thank you.
After enjoying in Swarga with the exhaustion of the pious deeds, he regains his dharmic intelligence and is born in the house of a person following dharma. Vaidarbhasya is a dharmic king. So after having gone through the reactions for one's sinful activities, after having enjoyed the results of one's pious activities in Swarga, reactivating one's own dharmic intelligence once again, one takes birth in the family of the dharmic followers. That is the intention of this verse. However, attaining a body of man or woman was not mentioned. So from the Puranjana story point of view, since he was thinking about the lady made up of the 5 sense objects, he has become lady. But in the case of Jivatma, when Jivatma goes to hell, goes through lower species and taking the help of dharmic intelligence, when again takes birth, whether that birth is male form or female form, that clarity is not mentioned in the 29th chapter. 29th chapter will explain the meaning of the entire story. There was no mention about which kind of birth the Jivatma took, whether male birth or female birth. Of course, in the story of Puranjana, he has become woman because he thought of woman, he has become woman. So in the case of the Jivatma, what kind of human birth he attained is not clear. But having taken the human birth, what happens? That is mentioned in the upcoming verses. However, attaining a body of a man or woman was not mentioned. The various options of birth, however, such as a man or woman, are not mentioned here. Because a lot of options are there, but among all the different options, which kind of human birth one obtained, that is not clearly mentioned. Kvachit tuman kachitcha stri, kvachin no bayam andadhi devo manushya tiriyagva yata karma gunam bhava. It says that the foolish jiva is sometimes a man, sometimes a woman, sometimes he is a nuch, sometimes he is a devata, sometimes a human or an animal. His birth take place according to the gunas and one's actions. The jiva after death sometimes takes birth among the devatas, sometimes takes birth among the humans, sometimes takes birth among the lower species. And among the humans, sometimes he becomes man, sometimes a woman, sometimes a nuch. So among all these different possibilities, among the human category, three possibilities are there: man, woman, and enuch. So among the three, which category a person he was? That is not clearly mentioned in the 29th chapter. About the story, the story of the soul, not the story of Puranjana. But Puranjana became woman. Same thought process also we can think. MM Vapi Smaran Bhavan responsible. If you take that, whatever we remember at the time of death, that is what we get the next life. And Prabhupada quotes a verse from the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Prapa punna krutam lokam vujishta shashvati sama. The yogi who had not perfected his life, who had not attained samadhi, not attained moksha, what happens to that yogi? Arjuna asks. Then he says that as a result of his pious activities, he will go to punya loka, punya krutam loka, that is Swarga loka. He will enjoy there for a long time. Then he will take birth in the Chinam Srimatam Gaye Yoga Brashtobi Jayate, either in the family of a Brahmana or in the family of a Vaishya. Both are religious. That is what has happened to Puranjana. Puranjana has taken birth in the family of a Kshatriya, who are the religious Kshatriya. So in that way. So we'll continue with the next verse. Then what happened? I've been taken birth in that family. What happened? Upaye me virya panam Vaidarbhi Malayadvaja Yudhi Nirjitya Rajanyam Panya Parapuranjaya.
It was fixed that Vaidarbhi, daughter of King Vidarbha, was to be married to a very powerful man, Malayadvaja, an inhabitant of Pandu country. After conquering other princes, he married the daughter of King Vidarbha.
Request all of you kindly pay attention. This is one of the important verse, both for Puranjana as well as for the Jivatma also. So what happens in the next life? How the good fortune comes in the life of a dharmic person. That is mentioned. Intelligent Malayadvaja, Pandya Maladvaja, the conqueror of the enemy cities, Parapuram Jaya. After defeating other kings in battle, Yudhi Nirjitya Rajanyan married the daughter of the king of Vidarbha as price for his chivalry. Puranjana, after death, gone to hell, went through punishment, took birth of different species, and finally, of course, in between he also goes to heaven, enjoyed there for sufficient amount of time, and then takes birth as the daughter of king of Vidarbha. And again, that the girl grew up to youth. Then there was Swayamvar. In the Swayamvar, she married Malayadvaja. What are the qualities of Malayadvaja? One is he is intelligent. Other is he conquered all the neighboring kings. He is the emperor. He is the emperor of the entire Prithvi. And that emperor, that intelligent emperor of the entire Prithvi married the daughter of Vidarbha, who was Puranjana in the previous life. And now comes the details and the details. What is the meaning of Malayadvaja? What is the meaning of intelligent? What is the meaning of conquering enemies? What is the meaning of defeating other kings in the battle, etc., etc. And what is the meaning of Virya Panam, Virya Shulka or Kanya Shulka? These were the words used in the past. Teachers were ruling You used to hear Kanya Shulka and Veera Shulka, etc. etc. So what are the meaning of those words they mentioned now? So now the situation is, as long as the Jiva does not have bhakti, Jiva cannot get deliverance from samsara. It is only bhakti will take one back to Godhead, nothing else. Even one practices karma, jnana, yoga also, there should be element of bhakti. That bhakti only will take one to moksha, otherwise not. Bhakti is spontaneous, but bhakti is edruchaya. Bhakti comes on its own accord. It arises from association with devotees by spontaneous mercy of devotees. How bhakti is spontaneous? By how bhakti comes on its own accord? By the causeless mercy of some devotee. Just like in the December marathon, devotees go out and distribute Bhagavad Gitas. That is the causeless mercy of the devotees upon the conditioned souls. Whoever receives Bhagavad Gita honorably and desires to follow it, they will be blessed with that causeless mercy. Others who take Bhagavad Gita and keep it on the Alamara, so they are not taking the mercy. They are not taking the causeless mercy of the devotees. So like that we should see. So bhakti arises spontaneously. How? It arises from the association with the devotees by the spontaneous mercy of the devotees. That is shown in Puranjana's next life as Vaidarbhi, where he attained association with a devotee through marriage. Who is the devotee coming in the life of Puranjana? That is Malayadvaja. Malayadvaja is the devotee who is coming in the life of Puranjani now. I mean, we cannot call her Puranjani, she is Vaidarbhi now. So Bhakti is coming in the form of Malayadvaja in the life of Vaidarbhi. Malayadvaja means the best. Dvaja means the best. So where is the Dvaja kept? In the chariot or in the palace or in the country? On the top, the topmost place, in the shikara of the building. Even for the temple also, on the top of the shikara we have Kalash. Above the Kalash we have Chakra. Above the Chakra we have Dvaja. So Dvaja means the best, the topmost. Among whom is topmost? He is topmost among the devotees. The best of the devotees. That is spiritual master. Malayadvaja represents the Guru, the best among all the devotees, who are equal to Malaya mountain range, since they are worthy of the same worship. Malaya mountain is worthy of worship because the mountain is entirely filled with sandalwood trees. That's why the mountain becomes glorious. Similarly, the spiritual master becomes glorious because he is best among all the devotees and hence he is worthy of worship. That spiritual master comes in the life of a conditioned soul. When the conditioned soul is ready to receive the causeless mercy of the spiritual master. Upayame, married, can mean accepting to be a student or disciple. There was a choice. Since it is Swayamvar, Vaidarbhi could have chosen any other king as her husband. But Vaidarbhi chose Malayadvaja as her husband. Same way, every conditioned soul has a choice to accept anyone. But a fortunate conditioned soul selects the spiritual master as one's master. So that is the understanding here. Virya Panam means prize for valor. Can also mean no one else could be accepted as a teacher because he had great mercy as his power. So in the case of Malayadvaja, he was victorious. He has become monarch. He defeated all the other neighboring kings. But in the case of the spiritual master, by what a person becomes attracted to spiritual master? By looking at the mercy of the spiritual master. That is the virya. That is the strength of the strength of the spiritual master is causeless compassion. one becomes attracted to that causeless compassion of that spiritual master. When we read the book Journey Home by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, we see that how different teachers whom he met, everyone is causelessly compassionate. And Maharaj was getting attracted to every spiritual guru. But eventually, when he saw Srila Prabhupada, seeing his unlimited compassion, unparalleled compassion, he gave his heart to Prabhupada. So, not that others are not compassionate, but Maharaj felt like that. So that is the strength of a spiritual teacher is causeless compassion. That will attract a conditioned soul, and that conditioned soul becomes a student of that spiritual master. That is Vaidarbhi marrying Malayadvaja. Because in the Swayamvar there are so many other kings also. She could have chose anybody else, but she chose only Malayadvaja because of his valor. He defeated everyone and he also intelligent. So in that way. Asmin loke vartamana swadharmastun nagasuchi jnanam vishuddham apnoti madbhaktim va yadruchaya. This is a verse from 11th canto of Bhagavatam. When one will take to bhakti, that is indicated here. So it says that one who is situated in his prescribed duty, swadharmosta. Once we are situated in our constitutional duty, varnashram duties properly, free from sinful activities, and cleansed of all material contamination. What was that verse from 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita? One of the last verses. 7th chapter. One of the last verses of 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita talks about the same thing. One who is situated in his prescribed duty, free from sinful activities, and cleansed of material contamination, in this very life obtains transcendental knowledge, jnanam vishuddham, or by good fortune, devotional service unto me. So here this verse indicates that Swadharmastha means one should perform Nishkama Karma Yoga, not the Sakama Karma. If one performs Sakama Karma, one becomes attached to the sense objects only. But by good fortune, if one practices Nishkama Karma Yoga, at right time one becomes qualified to practice Jnana Yoga. That is Jnana Vishuddham. And then taking shelter of Ashtanga Yoga, one will attain Sahyajya Mukti. But by good fortune, sometimes it also happens that one becomes attracted to Bhakti Yoga also.
Yesham tvantagatam papam, Prabhuji.
Yes. Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam
Te
te dvandamoha nirmukto bhajate mam drudavrata. So, antagatam papam. Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam prescribed duties. Te dvandamoha nirmukto attains transcendental knowledge. Bhajate mam drudavrata executes devotional service. So, in that way. By performing Nishkama Karma Yoga, offering all the fruits unto Supreme Lord, either one becomes qualified to take to renunciation and practice Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga and attain Sahyajya Mukti, or by good fortune one becomes a devotee. So like that. Both way, one is liberated. And there is one more verse from Bhagavatam only. This is from 10th canto, 51st chapter. Bhavapa Vargo Brahmanto Yada Bhavet Janasya Tarhi Achyutas Sat Samagama Satsangamo Yeri Tadaiva Sadgato Paravareshe Tvai Jayate Mati. What will happen in the association of devotees? We get bhakti only by the association of devotees. How does that bhakti will manifest and what will be the result of that bhakti in the association of devotees? That is mentioned here. When the material life of a wandering soul has ceased by the practice of Nishkama Karma Yoga, one is done with all one's material desires, material hankerings. O Achyuta, he may attain the association of your devotees. What is that verse from 15th chapter Bhagavad Gita? Verse number 5. Nirmana moha sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandve vimukta sukha dukkha samyayar gachat nityamuda padamavayam tat. Only that person will become qualified to attain avyaya padam. So in that way. So when the material life of a wandering soul has ceased by the practice of Nishkama Karma Yoga, O Achyuta, he may attain the association of devotees. Then one comes. That means one takes the association of devotees very seriously when one is done with all one's material anchorings. And when he associates with the devotees, there awakens in him devotion unto you. Bhaktya sanjate bhakti. The bhakti in the heart of a Madhyamadikari will manifest in the heart of a conditioned soul, who are the goal of devotees and the lord of all causes and their effects. So it is like that. The understanding is that when one's material hankering is seized, one takes the association devotee seriously. In that association, the seed of bhakti will manifest. So like that. These verses show that bhakti arises in the jiva in some birth from sudden association with a devotee. Devotees association there may be there every time. Every day it may be there. But only when we take that association seriously, then that bhakti will manifest. When we give priority to the association of devotees, the seed of bhakti will manifest in our heart. So in that way. He had defeated other kings. This means that he had uprooted all sins, offenses, time, and karma. Who defeated all other kings? Malayadvaja. But Malayadvaja is the spiritual master. So what are the qualities of spiritual master? The spiritual master had uprooted all sins, all papas, all offenses, all aparadas. The time, he defeated the time also. He will not take birth again. What was that verse? Chapter 4, text number 9. Full verse. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatataha. He knows about the Lord tatataha. As a result, he will not take birth again. So that means he defeated time and he defeated karma also. It is karma and time which take birth again and again. But the spiritual master already defeated time and time, karma and time. So one will not take birth again. So that is the understanding. Pandya means he was from Pandya province, or he was intelligent, or he who could discriminate between matter and spirit. The spiritual master is the one who discriminates what is the difference between the matter and spirit. That means he understands what is matter, what is spirit, and he remains vigilant about it. And that kind of person should be accepted as a spiritual master. These two lines will indicate the qualities as what should be the qualities of spiritual master. A spiritual master should thoroughly understand the difference between the matter and spirit, and he should have uprooted all the sins, all the offenses, and he must have conquered time and karma. That kind of person should be accepted as one's spiritual master, no one else. Para Puranjaya means he who conquered the cities of enemies, he who conquered other kingdoms. That means the spiritual master is he who cut the doubts arising from other philosophies. Para Puranjaya. The spiritual master conquered over all other philosophies. He is firmly established in his own philosophy, in his own Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. That kind of person should be accepted as spiritual master. Others, not. So, any questions you could follow?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yes, Pradeep Prabhu, any questions?
No, Prabhuji.
Durgadas Prabhu. So if no questions, please tell. Who is Malayadvaja? In our context, not in the Puranjana story context, but who is Malayadvaja in our context?
Spiritual master.
So what should be the qualities of the spiritual master?
Should be compassionate first qualities, and should be able to defeat all other philosophies so that the disciples understand the and accepts the right philosophy.
He is firmly established in his own philosophy. What is that verse? Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. A verse is there na, for a disciple approaches. Tad Vignartham Saguru Mevabi Gache Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. The spiritual master is supposed to be Shastranishta and Brahmanishta. He is firmly established in the Shastra and also absolute truth. That kind of person should be accepted as a spiritual master. That Tadviddi Panipatena Pariprashnana Sevaya Upadekshantite Jnanam. He should be Tattvadarshini. Only a Tattvadarshina person should be accepted as spiritual master. So who is Vaidarbhi?
Puranjana or soul, Jivatma.
In our story, the Jiva who has taken the human birth second time. He already took first time. He performed all sinful activities. He suffered in hell. He took birth in all lower species. He went to Swarga for his pious activities. Now he has taken birth in the family of the king of Vaidarbha. The family of a pious family, pious parents. And at the time of Swayamvar, he should select a proper husband. She should select a proper husband. That means one should examine who can be one's spiritual master. So in that way. It is only when we accept a bona fide spiritual master, the seed of bhakti will grow. We may receive the seed of bhakti by some good fortune, but for the seed of bhakti should grow, we should take the association of, or we should accept a spiritual master family. Otherwise, it will not. So in that way. So it is already 3:15. Quickly, let us complete the 3 more verses. 32. The theme will be completed. So let's go ahead. Tasyam sajanayam chakre atmajam asitekshanam yaviyasha sapta sutan sapta dravida bhubruta.
King Malayadvaja fathered one daughter.
King
who was-
Malayadvaja fathered who had very black eyes. He also had 7 sons who later became rulers of that tract of land known as Dravida. Thus, there were 7 kings in that land.
Then what happened after their marriage? In her, King Malayadvaja begot a daughter named Astekshana and 7 younger sons who became kings of 7 southern provinces. He had 8 children, 1 daughter and 7 sons. Who are they? The daughter name is Astekshana. Astekshana was the daughter's name. It can also mean she who received the glance of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is called as Asita. Asita Ikshana means she who received the glance of Lord Krishna. That is the name of the daughter. Thus, it means one who has a taste for serving Lord Krishna. For our case, the story is when we accept a spiritual master as our master, we develop taste for serving Lord Krishna. That is, we have received little mercy of Lord Krishna, Ashita Ikshana. There is a little understanding of Asita. Have you been to this city, Varanasi? कभी गए नहीं? Where Varanasi is located? Huh? On the bank of Ganga. A place located next to 2 rivers, Varna and Asita. Varanasi comes after Prayag or before Prayag? प्रदीप नायर प्रभु, आप तो हमेशा ट्रैवल करते रहते हैं. वाराणसी comes before Prayag or after Prayag?
After Prayag, no?
After prayer.
Still in doubt only. Are we in India or somewhere else? What happens in Prayag?
The Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati ka Sangam hai na. Saraswati is
A
dominant.
Triveni Sangam, but at least in the visible way, two rivers are coming together. So one is Varna river, one is Hasta river. Okay. And one more example. Varnavati is a city located next to Varna river. Anyone remembers what is Varnavat?
Where that Pandavas, they were trying, Kauravas tried to burn them.
Burn them alive. That city was on the bank of Ganga. So Varna means Ganga. Asita means Yamuna. So Asita is connected closely with Krishna. So Atitekshana means receiving the glance of Lord Krishna. कभी जाते नहीं, हमेशा इधर ही ढूंढते रहते हैं मुंबई में, बाहर जाने का कभी कभी. By the mercy of Guru, the Jiva develops a taste for serving Lord Krishna. That is the meaning of Atitekshana. Getting a daughter means developing taste for serving Krishna. The 7 sons who are born later, they are hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet, deity worship, bowing down, servitude. Developing a taste for serving Lord Krishna in the initial level, it is Ado Shraddha. Eventually later on it becomes Nishtha. But with Ado Shraddha, one begins to practice Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. All the 7. Only 7 are mentioned. Why? Because the remaining 2 are very difficult. Because Sakyam and Atma Nivedanam are difficult in the beginning stages. At Ado Shraddha level, they are very difficult to execute. Sakyam and Atma Nivedanam. And will appear spontaneously later on when one comes to the Bhava platform. In Bhava platform, Sakyam and Atma Nivedanam will manifest. Till then, one will practice only these 7. The sons were kings of southern provinces. Why southern provinces? The southern provinces are renowned for prominence of bhakti, hearing and chanting, consisting of hearing and chanting, etc. The 7 processes ruled like the kings, having subdued karma, jnana, and other processes. These 7 processes are said to be 7 kings because when one takes on to bhakti, consisting of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, not Dasyam, up to Dasyam only. One is not attracted to karma, jnana, yoga, and other things, other pious activities. So that is the understanding. So this is how, when a conditioned soul by good fortune accesses spiritual master, one develops Ado Shraddha. With that Ado Shraddha, one begins Bhajana Kriya consisting of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. It will lead to Anartha Nivrutti. Then there comes Nishtha. That Shraddha becomes strong faith. So like that, one progresses in one spiritual journey. So Hare Krishna. So let us continue how and when this person moves from Ado Shraddha to Nishtha to Bhava Prema. That we will discuss in the next class. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining us today. Sunday afternoon.
Thank you.
Giving up your resting time.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So we'll continue next week. Hare Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Bhaktivinoda ki jai.